Today's speaker, Sandra Gajic, and she was born in Croatia and came to Madison from British Columbia, Canada, last September to become the CEO of the Overture Center. She holds degrees in piano and economics from the University of Belgrade and was previously the director of the Vancouver Civic Theatres prior to coming to Madison. We are pleased to have Sandra join our Rotary Club shortly after she arrived here in Madison. A little background, the Overture Center opened in 2004, and today Sandra is going to tell us about the Overture Center now and tomorrow. We look forward to Sandra's presentation. We have made a contribution to the Rotary International Polio Plus Fund as a way of saying thanks for speaking to us today. And as she comes to the podium, I'll remind you if there's time for questions, I'll be out in the audience with the microphone. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here, and we know there is competition at the call center, big chamber event. So I thought it will be empty here. I will really have a chance to kind of talk to myself. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate all of you, especially so many friendly faces from many of the resident companies here. So I cannot but be truly touched and humbled by that. So thank you for that. So let me see where I'm in my presentation. And because I know so many of you here know very well a wonderful history of Overture. But there are also guests and also newer members of the Rotary or guests that have not lived here long enough. So if you wouldn't mind to indulge me, please, in going briefly through the history of Overture. So we'll start from that point. So Act 1, January 28, when the Capitol Theatre opened, so as a silent movie house, which is still used as a duck soup cinema for the silent movies to this day, which I love that little fact. Grand Barton organ was installed, and currently it's gone to Reno, of all places, for a full restore. And thank you for some of you here that have really helped us pull this one off so that the beautiful old Grand Barton organ can be restored to its full glory, and will be back in September. Between 40s and 70s, Capitol Theatre became mostly a place for concerts. Time changed with the demise of silent movie and changes of audience tastes. Until 1974, when the then mayor, Paul Soglin, announced the groundbreaking for the new Madison Civic Center, for the new, so Capitol Theatre was reborn under a new name of Oscar Mayer Theatre. 80s and 90s, the theatre grew in cultural significance, became a performance home for many arts groups, primarily Madison Symphony Orchestra, Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra, Madison Opera, and the ballet. Then comes Act 2, 1997, when Jerry Frautschi pledged his first $50 million to build Overture Center. 2 years later, another $50 million. At the end after everything was said and done, between Pleasant Rowland and Jerry Frautschi donated over $200 million, which was at the time the largest gift in American history to an arts organization. So I try to remember this every day as I walk to and from Overture, and I'm part of all those experiences we all do. It's really unprecedented, and it's wonderful. We are more than fortunate as a community to have that. So as a result of their generosity, September 19, 2004, Overture Center opened its door to its current now iteration. A few years later, in 2012, thanks to many of you here and your leadership and vision, Madison got its Overture Center as a non-profit organization, so it moved from being part of the city to becoming a non-profit organization. So, today, who are we? We are a home to 10 resident companies. The original ones that I mentioned, the symphony, the ballet, the opera, the chamber orchestra, but also new, also many other companies that have been with us for so many years. And this Overture is the home to the arts. Can I do this? Okay, thank you, Jane. I think we skipped a slide. It's not going though, it's okay. So, Overture today is, our mission is to support and elevate our community's creative culture, economy, quality of life through the arts. So, nothing would happen without the people of Overture. And I'm starting with recognizing the board of directors. There are 24 board of directors. We have a community advisory board, same number. We have over 80 full-time staff. We have a number of part-time regularized staff. 350 plus, depending on what's happening under our roof, how many performances we have of the casual hourly staff. But none of this would also happen without over 500 volunteers. It's astounding to me still. I'm still grateful and surprised every time I see hundreds of people that work as volunteers, as our ushers, doing tours, doing so many wonderful things for us. So I know that so many of our volunteers are here in the room today. So thank you for everything you do daily for us at the Overture and for this community. Looks like we are having some technical issues. Okay. We'll leave it at that. Yeah, thank you. Let me make sure that. So I want to just briefly go over who do we reach in this community. So how far does that go? From really boasting about Polestar numbers that ranking in ticket sales to the percentage of people that come that are non-resident, which is significant number. Over 14% of our ticket buyers actually are non-resident of Madison, come from not just the county but from the state. Thousands of media stories that we generate, but people that come to Overture, it's close. Last year was close to 600,000 of the experiences. So people that come to Overture annually. When we try to figure out how many is that since Overture as a new state of 2004 when it was first opened and built, we came to almost 12 million people that have come through Overture over the years. So last year we had over close to 23,000 people that came for the first time, which again is another surprising factor, and we seem to have those trends. Partly we know it's a nature of the community, people coming and moving and new members, but also next generation, as we are seeing multi-generational now commitment to Overture and in many ways. So based on just a reminder that we in the arts will never ignore the fact of what the impact of everything we do really is in the economy of the city, of the community, that we calculate the impact of just one season to be 28 million, close to $30 million direct impact. Just think about the restaurants around us, hotels. About 10% of people that come to Overture actually stay at a hotel for a minimum of one night. So it's a significant economic impact. But all of that, actually, when we start putting that into a perspective of the community, starts really telling also a story that's for us much more meaningful. It's great to have we know we have the economic impact, but what's the community impact? So a few years ago, our board and some members of also of the community advisory board that we have recognized that we really needed to start changing some of the ways how we work in the community, what that actually means for the community. Started with some initiatives that we were one of the 11 recipients of YWCA's racial equity funding to start some of the work in training staff, in really building that capacity. But as a direct result of a few board members' initiative, really became the funding for our first director at the time of director of diversity and inclusion. So Ed Holmes joined us 2.5 years ago, and we proudly put a photo of him, as he has been a phenomenal impact and colleague and friend in this community, who has built numerous and continues building numerous relationships in the community. So in recognizing the growing need for equity and innovative approach to what equity actually means, we changed also the name of the portfolio. So it's not just a semantics, it's really meaningful change that it is equity and innovation. And we continue our work there through numerous programs. Some of them are internally focused, just like the slide I have now in front of us, when we bring really national leaders in bringing equity or diversity and inclusion into the workplace. So from facing biases to really building the internal capacity and changing how we deal internally, whether it's through our policies, through guidelines, through, as you know, talking about the weeds, through the job description, how we hire people, who we bring on, but also, the board recognized that, so we are very proud that about 33% of our board comes from a diverse background. Community advisory board is even higher, it's close to 50%. So these are really significant results that this change in how we work from within and also outside is happening. Our community programming is, so many of the programs have been with us for many, many years, but like the kids in Rotunda, almost 40 years. It's just unbelievable. But so many of the programs we do are really all community, are free-based. So remember when I mentioned close to 600,000 people came last year? Well, almost half of that is free or low-cost programming. So some of the examples is the Jerry's, which is the program where we send people to evaluate, to help constructive criticism of the high school performances across the state into close to 100 schools. I think this year we are at 98 high schools. 10,000 kids participate annually in that, and we have our Jerry Awards in June, publicly televised. We hope to see lots of you also in the audience to see what the young people do, and we are very proud of that relationship. Disney Musicals in School, we started just a few years ago, but that's for really little kids. So when I see them, when we bring them to Overture to do the excerpts, it's amazing. It's amazing seeing the level of talent that exists, and we help that grow in partnership with our schools, and we do concentrate our efforts in the schools that serve underserved population. OnStage program, it's another of those programs that have been with us for a number of years. It's the program where we bus and bring children to our performances. This year alone, there are 22 main stage performances where we bring students from across the school district to Overture. Kids in Rotunda, need I say anything? My favorite thing to do on Saturday is to go and see, never mind the sea of strollers, but I'm now seeing also the 3 generations coming, and so many people are coming now with their grandchildren. They used to bring the kids. It's something wonderful that Madison really has, and we are proud to continue as we also build it out in the community. So you'll see it even in the summer as part of Fête de Marquetta and some other festivals where Kids in Rotunda will be really, as we call it, Kids in Rotunda on the road, or traveling Kids in Rotunda. So stay tuned for more announcements about that. The International Festival, again, a well-beloved festival. This year alone, we had over 15,000 people come to, and was there where over 60 nations were represented through performances, through food, through dialogue with many. Galleries, visual arts, important part of who we are. We put a life through the walls of our center, and you see it coming through Overture, from whether it's through Henry Street and those wonderful galleries down at the Playhouse level to further up as you go. And the Rising Stars, I just want to mention that one. The Rising Stars, where people of all ages and ability really audition and come and compete, and it's really wonderful the talent we see on Overture stage, and then the winners become really, we help them with their career, with mentoring, with just the last week on Tuesday, one of our rising stars, Brianna Wells, opened for Branton Marsalis. So those are huge, I think, strides we take on daily, I would say, making sure we keep the dialogue going and opportunities alive for people in the community. So thank you. It's better to see it as opposed to me just talking about it. Still, I want to mention a couple of other programs that really are a result of our work in equity and innovation department. So career exploration program is something brand new. That's a career exploration for the careers in the arts that we just confirmed the partnership with the Goodman Center, and we are very, very happy and proud of that. So thank you to Becky and your team. So we really appreciate that. So what it is all about is the youth from middle school and high schools from underprivileged, underserved communities and schools that we will be bringing and doing training programs and training and exploration careers in the arts. So kids will get reimbursed for the expenses, and so in case, in some cases we know that losing a summer job is not an option. So we're making sure that they can afford to actually attend this program. Another initiative we are doing is really, we started evaluating our volunteer programs because we recognize that there are also some barriers, that looking at the volunteer program from the perspective of equity and inclusion, and we are grateful to the donations that our volunteers give, but it shouldn't be a barrier just like transportation and things like that. So we are really looking at that as a whole program, making sure that in the future we remove any barrier, any access that we need to provide to our volunteers. So I'll continue, and maybe if you have questions we can address. Sorry, Jane. Please, next. Now, we just announced just over a week ago our next season, so I'll be remiss to talk a little bit about it. So 1920th season, our 15th actually season. We'll celebrate our 15th anniversary starting September. So it's the biggest ever. We so far announced 70 shows. We know there will be more than that. So there are a record number of Broadway productions, 9 titles, 99 Broadway performances alone. Overture presents so far 41 shows, and we know there are a few more coming. So it's a really exciting time for Overture. I've
been working for my child nearly 26.
They're a ghost. I promise I didn't touch a thing. Thank you. So as we continue with bringing the world to Madison and making sure that you as audience members actually have a chance to see what's the best in the world of entertainment, we are happy to do that. Now, I wanted to also talk a little bit about where do our revenues come from? Because talk about presentation and season. Revenues, in our case, majority, the biggest part of this pie is ticket sales. We put this current season, and then also next to it is the next season, 1920, as that based on the budget for next year and the present program we have presented. So the orange part, which is in this current season, 12.1, so we do get a generous support from the City of Madison that comes through the room tax, which next year will present 7% of our revenues. The need for us to raise money remains significant, because I didn't put the pie charts with expenses, and it's not because we are hiding our expenses, far from that, but the business challenge for us is definitely that we get most of our revenues come from tickets, but on the other side of that equation is that majority of our events are free. So 68% of our activity actually doesn't generate any revenue, no tickets associated with it. So it's a balancing act, and I know for my colleagues, so many of them here working in the arts and the performing arts sector, that's the reality for us all. So what do we do to close the gap? Yes, not only do we ask each and every one of you, maybe not you yet, but we'll come to you to Boise. I hear you live there. So we rely on the generosity of the community, on generous spirit amongst the corporate leaders. We have really wonderful partnerships in our corporate community, but the individual donations and gifts are really the ones that majority of our fundraising and our contributed revenue comes from individuals like so many of you here. I'll show you a little video about our this year's Local Legends. Local Legends is a program that started in 2012, which is the donors that give 100,000 or more and commit to that in any given year. This year we have 3. So far, since 2012, we have about $4.5 million contributed by Local Legends, which is really a wonderful success of the program and shows the level of commitment and generosity by so many of the individuals and so many of you I see here, including the table with so many board members, so that are leaders in that respect too. This year's Local Legends are Vance and Jody Tang, Barbara Mittelstadt-Berven, and Norman Berven, and the Ho Chang Gaming Madison. So we'll show you a little video to show why did they do this.
I've been working for my child nearly 26 years. I've been here in Madison for the past 7. In the past 5, we've developed a really close relationship, a great partnership with the Overture. What the Overture and what the performing arts bring to a community is something that we want to be a part of. I think my favorite thing about the International Festival is the color, the vibrancy of it. It's really fun to have so many colors and so many textures and so many tastes, and the opportunity to have the exposure, particularly to the young folks. I think those are the ones that, to me, I enjoy the most, watching them become exposed to different things and sort of enriching them, and which for me provides for a great opportunity for our tomorrows because of their exposure to it and their increased understanding and tolerance and so forth. So it's really, really cool. The opportunity for us as Ho-Chunk people to engage in some of the other arts and be exposed to other cultures and other arts is something that's very, very important to us.
We support the arts because it creates a thriving community of creative people and ideas of all ages, from children through retired people. It creates a lot of interest and excitement in the community.
One thing that we particularly love about the Overture is actually the idea of this being such an easy and accessible place. So we come down, we used to live in Chicago, and we go to a show and it would be an all-day affair. And here, when we come to any show, anytime, the biggest shows, the busiest nights, we're home in 10 minutes.
Everything from music to comedy to Broadway plays to magic. It's just fabulous that there's such a wide realm, that there's really something for everybody here.
If there's one thing we talk about to friends and family from all around about Madison, it's the Overture. We just think it's such an amazing venue for such a relatively small city that it rivals the best theater we've seen anywhere in the world.
Art in all its forms is transformative. It can amuse us, it can inspire us, and it can even provoke us. It shapes the way we see the world, and it's so enriching, and we would just want that experience for everyone.
And I guess I would add, just personally, the two of us have enjoyed all of the arts provided by the Overture Center and the performances that we've attended. So just personally, it has meant a lot to the two of us.
You know, everyone is so enthused and looking forward to a delightful performance and a splendid evening, and I enjoy that. I enjoy sharing that experience with others.
The variety and the quality of the performances, I think it's been uniformly excellent.
I particularly like the fact that there's a lot of children's programming here. I think exposure to art when kids are little, you know, that can foster a lifelong passion for the arts.
It's one of the things that makes Madison a very special place to live. And so I think it's worthy of the support of the community, both public and private support.
Yes, it's so important to have this remain a vibrant part of our community, as it has been. What a gift.
Thank you. So it takes us to where we are now and what do we do for tomorrow. So if we talk to the immediate needs of the Overture, we know that our building has been now a combination of ages. Some of it is 90 plus years old, some of it is 50 or so. So we have almost like reminds me of the Edward Albee's play Three Tall Women. So it's three ages in one. And so we are seeing areas of building that needs more love and tender care than what we currently have in available in our funding. So we are currently looking into a major study that will really help us. The entire block that you've include the Mamoka side, really see what we have, what we need to make sure that we replace now, we repair, whether it's the leaking roof or the doors that so many of us can't even open. They are so heavy or just repaired so many times that becomes a challenge. So we will be very soon starting a capital campaign that will be addressing the immediate needs of the building itself so that we make sure we keep it the way it's meant to be forever. We know that the Overture was built with a mind to have a minimum of 300 years life out of it. So we owe it to Pleasant and Jerry, but to everybody in the community to make sure that it does last 300 years plus. I'm not sure who of us will be here to see it, but I'll do my best, even if it means I have to go to a gym. So far, close to 12 million people come, and we see that the building deteriorates, just like all of our homes that needs that fact. So the long-term goal will also be to establish endowment, which we currently have a very, very, I would say, minuscule endowment. So we need to work on that. But you will hear about it in a couple of years' time when we are ready really to work towards that. But in order to secure Overture as a home to our resident companies and to the community at large, we do need to make sure we have an endowment that will make sure that we remain financially viable and do not just rely on annual giving or on annual ticket sales of the commercial products. So I know I'm running out of time. So I had another 15-minute speech prepared, so I'll cut that down to just say that personally I am beyond delighted to be here, to be speaking to you, to be working and living in this community. I've loved the arts all my life. I can never get enough, even as a consumer, and so many of my colleagues and friends here see me at their performances. Nobody asked me yet not to come, so I think I'm okay. I'm behaving, kind of. But I love the arts. I believe in what we do. I believe in the power of art and the magic on stages, that our job and our duty is to make sure that we have that to all of us fully accessible for next generations to come, including the people from Boise. Thank you so much.